Sometimes when people think about freelancers, they picture someone working alone by themselves with their laptop and their client. But in reality, that is not how many freelance projects actually work out. Some of the best projects that I've worked on, and actually most of the projects that I work in, involve working with teams of people, whether that be other freelancers or people from the organization themselves. Now, in my case, being in learning and development, I often interact with various instructional designers, developers, other facilitators, and things along that line. But we all basically work together toward the same goal, whatever that is. So if you want to build a long-term freelance career, which I hope you do if you're watching this video, learning how to work well on a freelance team is actually just as important as your technical skills. So let's talk about how and why. I'm Jennifer from the Freelance Shift, where I help aspiring freelancers build profitable businesses using modern strategies, AI, and proven systems. Thanks for joining me today. So, one of the biggest mindset shifts for new freelancers oftentimes is realizing that being an independent contractor doesn't mean working independently. Even if you're in a remote position, I do some in-person work, but most of my work tends to be remote. And people think that, oh, I must not have any human interaction because I'm working remote. No, I have human interaction all day. Now, part of it is because I do training, so that a big portion of my job is actually interacting with people virtually in trainings. But in addition to that, I have a lot of different meetings and other events that I am required to go to where I'm interacting with other people. I don't think that this is unusual. As I briefly mentioned, it's very common for you to work on a team with other specialists where everyone has their own role and their own expertise, their own responsibilities, but everyone is dependent on each other. And in order for that well-oiled machine to work, you have to have a lot of communication. So it's important to make sure that you really are approaching your work as a team, because if you do let something fall through the cracks, for instance, say you're late delivering one piece of something that is dependent on you, then someone else can't begin theirs. And if you don't communicate properly or others don't communicate with you, everyone else is left guessing, and that's where things on the project really start to fall through the cracks. So for that reason, being a great freelancer isn't just about doing excellent work. It's about making sure that you're being a team player in order to make everyone else's job easier too. Now, the second bit of advice is just make sure that you really do respect the role of the project manager. Most of the projects that I am on have at least one project manager. Sometimes there are sort of other people managing certain aspects, but there usually is at least one main project manager that works on coordinating timelines, setting up meetings, and making sure that the communication stays flowing. My experience is that you want to align with them. You want to help them. You want to make sure that you promptly and in a detailed fashion respond to their emails, that you don't miss deadlines, and that if there are concerns where you may not be able to meet a deadline, or something isn't going as expected, or things are going as expected, raise those issues early instead of waiting until the due date. That is really, really helpful and recommended behavior there. So I think, in my opinion, that the project managers that you work with are going to remember freelancers like you who make their projects run smoothly. I know that that's been the case for me. And oftentimes I've been on projects where I've had project managers recommend me for future projects because they've enjoyed working with me because of the behaviors that I've exhibited. I think that that's also common. So it's someone who you want to make sure that you do really stay on good terms with. The other thing, and this was a hard one for me when I started, is communicating more than you actually think that you need to. One thing that I've learned over the past several years is that when you are silent or when others are silent, then people feel uncertain. I just had someone contact me yesterday about a training outline that I have due next Monday. So it was a whole week in advance. I'm filming this on a Tuesday, so she contacted me 1 week in advance. And she was saying that she was getting a little nervous. And I realized it was just because I hadn't told her, no, I'm all set. I don't need anything from you. It will be ready. And that is the actual circumstance, but I didn't communicate that, and I should have. And I should honestly know better. So use this as a learning opportunity. And if you're making progress on something, tell people. If you finished early, let them know. If you hit a roadblock, let them know. Ask for help. Good communication is so important. And when it's used, clients don't have to worry about freelancers like you keeping them informed. Now, another bit of advice is to stay in your lane, but be willing to help. So I know that that sounds like a mismatch, but hear me out. It's really not. You are hired for a specific role when you're a freelancer. So even if you sometimes work as a project manager and you sometimes work as a trainer like me, stay in your role for the most part. Don't try to act like a project manager when you were hired as a trainer, and don't try to act like the trainer when you were hired as a project manager. Don't critique other people's work or try to solve problems that weren't assigned to you. However, at the same time, if you notice that there's something that could impact the project in a significant way, it is your responsibility to speak up respectfully and mention it. Additionally, sometimes there are legitimate needs that need to be met by someone else. Someone has to pick up some of the slack from the project. And when those opportunities arise, if that is something that you're capable of doing and willing to do, that is a way of assisting a client in a way that will probably be remembered in the future. So I guess here, if I had to give one message, it's that the key is collaboration, not competition. Now, the next thing is obvious. This sounds so simple. You may be saying, Jennifer, why are you even mentioning this? It's be easy to work with, but it's really important. Think about those people who are well respected on certain projects that you've done. They're not only competent is obviously in the mix there, but they're easy to work with. They're prepared for meetings, they show up on time, they accept feedback professionally, they avoid unnecessary drama, they treat everyone else on the team with politeness and respect. It's important because clients often choose the freelancer who's enjoyable to work with, over someone who's only slightly more talented. Clients don't want to work with difficult freelancers. Let's face it, no one wants to work with difficult freelancers. So professionalism is a competitive advantage in this case. Next, you want to understand the bigger picture. So while you're focusing on the tasks that you're responsible for, you do want to just take the time to understand what problem the client's trying to solve higher level, how your work fits into the overall project, and who is going to be using the deliverables that are created after you've finished. This is important because when you understand the entire project, you're going to make better decisions because you're seeing it from a higher level there. So you're going to be able to become someone clients trust with larger responsibilities. Now, you also want to share credit very generously. So one thing I appreciate about strong freelance teams is that success is shared. When a project goes well, you want to recognize all of the people who helped make it happen. That's important. It gives people that feel good that they're recognized for their work. And people remember that. They remember the people who do this and help make the team stronger. Now, additionally, you want to remember that relationships lead to future work. Many freelancers spend all of their energy finding new clients. But remember, I keep saying the best opportunities come if you have already worked with the people, because a project manager moves to another company, an instructional designer that you worked with recommends you for an upcoming project, or something along those lines. Those opportunities happen because of the relationships you built while you were doing the work, not after it's over. So think of every project as a networking opportunity. So in conclusion, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about freelancing is that it's a solo career, where in reality, some of the most successful freelancers become known as people who are really dependable teammates. They communicate well, they meet deadlines, they support others, they make projects easier. And those are the freelancers who keep getting invited back to the table, because the clients aren't just hiring skills, they're hiring people who they enjoy working with. So if you can become both of those things, you're in. You will build a freelance career that lasts. So thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps small channels like mine, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.